Powered by nuclear energy.
Hi, this is DJ Mondo, and welcome to the Atomic Luau, and welcome to SketchLab. If you've been following along, this is Season 1, Episode 9 of the Atomic Luau SketchLab. The reason I'm doing SketchLab, it's basically where I kind of showcase some of my drawing skills. A lot of people ask me, hey, who does the artwork for your social media sites and also for, your covers and stuff like that. Well, I do that artwork, and I wanted to kind of showcase it here by doing some drawings. Now, if you've been following along with SketchLab, I'm about 9 episodes in, and the idea is I've been doing a drawing based on an homage to the cover of the first issue of The Incredible Hulk, drawn by Jack Kirby many years ago. I'm doing a takeoff of that and replacing it with my own characters here. But for the moment here, while I'm getting started on this episode, I just wanted to kind of show some of the stuff that Procreate can do. That's the app that I'm using to draw the comic book cover. But recently Procreate has added some animation features, and I've been goofing around with those. I'm a really terrible animator, but I'm learning because I really want to start doing animations for my drawings here. But they've added these animations here, and but before I go on to the main drawing that I'm doing, I just wanted to show some of the animation features here in Procreate. You've got onion skinning. You can make different colors for the drawings that you do in Procreate. Add frames. You can layer the frames, and there's just a whole lot of stuff you can do here. Again, not as robust an animation system as some of the other apps out there, like Clip Studio Pro and Clip Studio Paint, but definitely will get the job done if you're really diligent here. And what I've done here is I've done a series of frames. I think there's about what, 18 frames here? No, more like 16 in this little drawing here. So I'm going to go ahead and just wanted to show you guys that, to show you the potential of what the Procreate app can do on the iPad. And this is just a little like 16 frame drawing that I did here, moving at about 4 frames a second or 6 frames per second here. But it's a really terrible sketch, but actually kind of fluid, considering considering my skill level, and also considering what you can do with this application. But and also you can set foreground and background drawings as well on this background layers, so you can kind of put your drawings in an environment if you do this correctly. But that's what Procreate can do now, and I'm having a bit of fun with it. I'm not very good at it, but I'm having a good old time with it. But I just wanted to show you that before we actually moved on to the main drawing here, and pick up where we left off. So let's go into the gallery and find the drawing that we're working on here. And now if you have been following along here, what I've decided I'm going to do is I'm going to start just recording these sessions and pasting them and posting them on Twitch and on my YouTube channel. Streaming has just gotten a bit too difficult here. I don't know if you guys saw the last episode here, but the stream on the iPad stopped during mid demonstration, and I'm here talking and just drawing away, but actually none of that is coming through on the actual stream here. So I'm going to stop streaming these live and just going to go ahead and record them and post them. That doesn't do a whole lot for the interactivity of on the site here, but I don't think a lot of people are watching these live anyway. If you can benefit from watching this live, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see if I can adjust it and do do a little bit better with the live streaming here. But I definitely just want these episodes to be clean so you guys can see the technique that I'm using here, and with no breaks or anything like that. And I think it's a little bit easier to do it this way. So anyway, let's see where if we can pick up where we left off here. Again, just want to remind you of the groups that I'm using here. From top to bottom, the layers are the logo layer, where the comic book cover logo is going to be, the DJ Mondo's DJ booth that he's going to be standing behind. Behind him is DJ Mondo himself, and behind that is the DJ Mondo's Gorilla Companion, Robot Gorilla Companion is going to be behind that, and then there's going to be a crowd scene in the background. Again, I'm still sketchy on how that crowd is going to be. I might just choose a photo reference and do some inking over a photo reference, blur it and put it in the background there, and you can use any kind of references that you want in order to do it. Anyway, we left off with putting in the color layers for the Robot Gorilla Companion here, and breaking him down. There's his ink layers and his shadow layers and his color layers, but I was basically working on putting in his colors after I dropped in his shadows. So let's go ahead and zoom in and pick up where we left off, and finish putting in his colors. So, and we can always go ahead and take that color right from the drawing itself, and we can finish up his legs. Now we've got the ink layer set as the reference layer here, so any color that we drop down here is going to be stopped by that ink layer, even if you're working in a different layer like the color layer here. So basically you can just drag and drop and put that in, and of course you'll see that the color layer falls under the shadow layer, so any shadows are going to be on top of that layer as I drop them in here. And we can zoom in as tight as we want to do this, not a problem. Drag and drop, and drop them on in. And so yeah, I'll go ahead and post these, and like I said, in the comments below, let me know what applications that you like to work in, and send me links to some of your artwork. I'd be interested to see it here. We're coming up on Halloween, so maybe I might switch gears and do a different kind of drawing once Halloween comes up. I don't know. Should I leave his nails white? No. Let's go ahead and make him orange. I'll go back again if I want to make his nails a different color here. And the Robot Gorilla has this, armored skin texture. And later on we can put some racing stripes on him here. That design on his hand is usually a white stripe. That white U-shaped stripe on his hand is usually white, but I think I'm going to go ahead and put his racing stripes in another layer entirely once I start doing putting in a little bit more detail here. And these edges are going to be orange, just like the rest of them. Those power couplings that are on his shoulders and on his forearms and on his back, those two pylons on his back, will be blue. Everything that's blue, everything that kind of represents power in the DJ Mondo universe is usually tinted blue because of, I guess it denotes electricity. Oops, overstepped ourselves here. So let's zoom in there. It's a little ratty, but I can fix it up later. here and here. Okay, great. All right, so let's switch gears and switch colors here and put those blue power couplings in there. I think I'm kind of jumping ahead on the coloring here, but it really doesn't matter because look, it really doesn't matter what order you put them in. But let's see what our power couplings are going to look like. It'll at least look, see what the color scheme is going to be like overall, and we can pretend it's kind of and that'll be where we put our glowing elements in once we have like a special effects layer of like glows and things like that. So I don't know if that's the right shade. I might be a little bit brighter. I might want it a little bit brighter than that. Let's go with that. It's a little better. We should probably get rid of the shadows in that layer, because if this glows, the light's going to be shining out of there. So what I think I'm going to do is go into the shadow layer and erase this area inside of the glowing area here. What I'm going to do also is set my timer here, because I've already wasted some time without setting the timer here. I don't want to keep drawing forever. I've seen those like 3-hour drawing sessions that some people live stream. I don't want my sessions to be that long because you guys will get bored. So let's go into this and erase out the shadow. So there we go. And that way when we do the glowing special effects of it'll be glowing out of that that little portal there. So again, back to color layer, and let's go in again to his reactor heart. Do I have here is oh, it's a marker. I'm using a marker for that. Alright, let's go with the ones on his arms. First, give me some eraser, and actually for this one we're going to have to go into the color layer, because what I've done here is I've accidentally colored that inner rim of those two portals there, and those should be blue, because again the light's going to be coming out of there. So let's go and stay in the color layer and erase these out with a hard airbrush. Out of there, because that inner edge is going to be blue, kind of reflecting the glow of that reactor portal. So let's back in, blue, drag and drop, drag and drop. Here. No. We messed up our. This is. Draw it in. Sometimes the pixels of the reference layer are a little bit too close together, so you don't get that flow. So let's do that. What else do we have? All right, and let's put his arc, his pylons here and here. Now later I'm going to go in and draw a little column of glowing light inside those two things. They're kind of like giant atomic fuses. This needs them too. Actually, let's go back. Let's undo those two and erase those inner edges out of there again like before. I jumped the gun when I colored those before. So I don't really want those. I want that to be blue to insinuate the glow from the inside, because that little disc in there is blue. And just right up to the edge there. Okay, great. Alright, back to this. Drag and drop, drag and drop. Drag and drop, drag and drop. Okay, great. Alright, and that's the overall color scheme. Now the bolts on his shoulders and on his elbows and his knees will be silver. So those will have kind of a white background. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with the inside of his collar here. But you know what? Let's make that blue as well. There we go. Alright, good. Okay. Now what we're going to have to do so that the background doesn't show through. Now if we make these bolts silver, the bolts at his knees silver, they're going to be like mostly white. We're going to insinuate that they're reflective by putting some color in there, but they're mostly going to be white. So I think we're going to have to go in and draw a white background here. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another layer that I'm going to move, that I'm going to make gray. And let's make a gray layer here. Let's put that. Whoops. Let's backtrack and actually let's turn off our reference layer, because I want to fill that entire layer, and then I'm going to make it gray. So back into the layer, turn off the reference of this layer, go back to this background layer that we're going to use to, I just want to use it to set up here, because I don't want a completely white background when I start working on those bolts, because I have to know what's showing through. So now we fill this layer, and then we adjust the opacity on that layer and take it down to about here. So now we can see what's showing through on the gorilla and what's not. That way when we make those other areas white, we'll know that they have enough coverage. They have coverage in their own layer. So now we go back to this layer, turn the reference back on again for the gorilla's ink layer, and then back to coloring. And this time we want to color things white. And drag and drop, drag and drop, drag and drop. That way we know they're covered. Drag and drop, drag and drop, drag and drop. And I don't like the shape of that bolt there, but you know what? I'm going to leave it. So those are our bolts. Gorilla's face is going to be, let's see if we can get a reasonable face color. I don't know quite how Gorilla's skin is, but he looks more like a chimpanzee. I remember I keep apologizing to any of the zoologists out there who think I don't know the difference between a gorilla and a chimpanzee, and I do know the difference. However, I'm obviously not good at drawing the difference, so we'll just pretend. So, oh no, it's so orange. Look at that. It's terrible. Can we get it more brown? Can we get it more brown? Like that. Oh, that's a little better. And then we can put our highlights in there. Maybe a little bit on the dark side, but the thing is, once we figure out how the light is going to be hitting it, basically from the upper left of this drawing, then we can highlight the top of the brow and the top of his maw, and give him a little bit more substance. So there we go. So in there. So great. All right, and let's do that right now, because I'm interested to see how it looks. So add a little bit of white, and let's mask off the parts that we're going to highlight here using this. I don't know how good this is going to look, but let's try it. Mask and drag. And mask and drag. Don't like the shape of that. No, maybe not so bad. Right in there. I don't know. That's a little weird. I don't know. Maybe it's just a shape. Let's try. It doesn't look so bad. It's a little rough edged, but that's okay. If it really gets that bad, I can go back in and use a burnisher, to like smooth it out. The burnisher tool to like smooth it out. So I don't think it's so bad. And, oops, back. Instead of using the marker, we can use if we want to just go ahead and put those highlights in directly, instead of using a marker, we can go ahead and use use one of the inking pens. Usually the studio pen works pretty well for stuff like this. So, and that secondary light source over here on this side. And there we go. Okay, yeah, he pops a little bit. His face pops out a little bit, but we really want his eyes. We really want his eyes to pop out some. Some on that side, and we can even go for even more highlights now that we have defined kind of the planes on this on the surface here. We can even do some underneath because he's getting some reflected light from his collar. This would probably be more blue down here though. We can even show some of the blue light here. And you want to take those colors and from one area and reuse them in another area here. That'll, again, that's how the surfaces kind of, you know, play with each other in a drawing here. So there you go. Okay. A couple more things here. His jump jets and his knees are kind of a darker gray than the surface here, so I'm gonna take that that gray as my starting point, and let's color his jets and his knees. No. Undo. So let's go back in there. And again, we can put our highlights on there in order to give them a little bit more substance. I don't know why I didn't draw any lines on these others here, on this other surface here, but that's all right. And so yeah, going for speed. Let's go for speed. And there we go. All right, so we got a pretty good start on him. Let's start working on the kind of effect of chrome on the bolts, on the shoulder bolts and the elbows and knee joints. First, let's clean up that shadow a little bit on here. Go for a second into the shadow layer and get an eraser here. Let's pare that down a little bit. And I think it got a little bit crazy on this side too. All right, so back in. Whoa, undo. All right, so let's go back into the color layer. And typically if you've got a spherical surface, which I imagine these bolts to be, that's made out of chrome, it's going to be a little brown on the underside and blue on the top. It's in a stylized kind of way, and that's because the top is reflecting the sky, the bottom's reflecting the ground, or you know, it could be different colors depending on, you know, the colors of the ground, but in a stylized sort of way, the way they do it in comic books. Blue is always going to be at the top, and brown is going to be at the bottom, kind of reflecting dirt, which is silly if you're standing on a surface that if the silver item is standing on a surface is a different color than that. But you know, you can kind of fool people into thinking that that's the way it's supposed to be. So let's get a. Let's mask this off with a selection area here so that I don't go outside that range, and then I'm going to choose a a different color here and paint it in with the surface here. That's that. Oops. Using this, and we're going to choose an airbrush tool because we want that color to be kind of soft. Soft airbrush, take the opacity down, but then I don't, and since it's a selection, I won't exceed this area here. Why is it this color? Oh, that's why it's that color, because I didn't take the black out of it. So there we go. So now it's going to be a little blue on top. And then take down the selection. So there you go. It's and that kind of, you know, it's going to make it look a little bit chrome kind of looking, but you know, and just kind of insinuate it. It doesn't have, you don't have to account for every reflection that that's going to have. So let's come in with a bit more on this side. And we really only have to mask off the top. And just apply it. And there's a couple of streaks in there. And I can come back in with some white to create streaks. Let's do the same thing with the elbow joints. So we can get that subtle transition there, you know, with those little streaks. Same thing on the other side. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Back. Wrong tool. Nope. Back again. Here we go. Mask off. Streaks, just a few streaks. So again, come to the other side, mask, go. Mask it off. Streaks. There we go. Okay, great. All right. And we can always go back in here with a pen tool and use the white of the pen in order to give a little bit more detail to that that item here. So for example, if I wanted to insinuate that there was an edge in here, I can come back in here and just mask those off a little bit. Again, anything to kind of give it that kind of a third dimension kind of feel to it. And here, just to highlight that edge. Same over here. And it's all very stylized. Again, this isn't like classical oil painting or anything like that where you're trying to get every color and every gradient perfect. There. Same thing here, which is the edge of that inner bolt right here. here just to, yeah. There, and that'll make it stand out a little bit here. Then I can go in and maybe put some earth tones at the bottom of those bolts. So, for example, if I chose that, let's go in and, oh no, it's black. It's black. So there's that. Let's take it down a little bit. Let's see how this looks. This is just experimental on one of these. Again, we're making sure we're in our color layer here. Let's go back in and this time mask off the bottom. Ooh. And we've hit our time limit here. So let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and stop right here. But first I'm going to try and airbrush in some of this surface here. Back to the airbrush with soft airbrush on the bottom. And it's just to imply that it's reflecting the ground. There we go. And there's his stylized sort of silver bolt at his shoulders here. We'll pick up there next time. But in the meantime, what I like to do at the end of each of these is to, in Procreate, since you can record every stroke is recorded as you make it, and so you can play back the entire drawing to show what the strokes, all of the strokes that led you up to this point where you are right now. So I'm just going to go ahead and play that back and do a time-lapse replay here with the last few minutes. Straight from all of the rough drawings that I did before until I put them into layer groups and inked them and drew them. There's our ill-fated crowd, but we'll take care of that. I cleaned up everything except the logos and the the sensationalized word balloons, but I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do with them. I may actually create those in another application and import them here into import them from an application that has a little bit more like distortion features for you can do that. You can type that text and then you can distort it so that one side looks like it's closer to you than the others. A lot of times the way they do it in the comic books, like the same way that Hulk comic looks like the logo is coming out at you. So again, there's a rough sketch of our gorillas, our cleanup of the rough sketch of the gorilla. We go in and draw DJ Mondo, and I can zoom in on each of these as they're being drawn so you can see them a little bit better. And then everything's relative size of everything. Everything being in its own layer group. You can resize an entire group, that is, you can, of the elements, you can resize the rough sketch, the ink layer, and the color layer all at the same time for each element. There was my first attempt at drawing the crowd. Didn't really like it, but I'm not good at drawing crowds. So we'll figure out how that goes. DJ Mondo's DJ booth with the kind of Aztec looking drawings on the speakers there. Again, that's another homage to Jack Kirby. He liked to do that a whole lot, to put those kind of Aztec looking line work on there. Working on the gorilla's face. Working on this ink layer. armored, and then some of the details on his armor. DJ Mondo's inking. He's got his hand up. He is not doing a salute. That is, he's just playing to the crowd. So we'll keep that in mind. He's always wearing motorcycle boots. I think I could do a little bit more work on his left leg. But we'll leave it that way for now. You may not even see his legs in the drawing since he's going to be standing behind a booth. So that's not a problem. But he may need to be resized in order for that. This is the shadow layer for the gorilla. First started working on the color surface, and then putting in the blue highlights for those, the gray background to check the lighting, or to check the colors for the surfaces that are mostly white. And this is how far we've gotten. And that's our drawing so far. Again, we're doing an homage to Jack Kirby's Incredible Hulk, and replacing those characters with DJ Mondo and his gorilla companion. And we'll pick up here next week. I'm going to start just recording these and posting them to YouTube and to Twitch, because I've been having a little bit of trouble with the streaming lately, and not a lot of people are watching the live streams. I hate to admit it, but if you're watching this at all, I appreciate it. Be sure to visit djmondosrave.com and let me know what applications you work on and what you're doing with the Apple iPad or any other applications that you're using on your Mac or anything like that. I also use Clip Studio Pro on my Mac as well. An excellent program, and I want to do a lot more animating, like you saw at the beginning there with Procreate. And but Clip Studio Pro has a lot of animation features on it, really professional style. You can do some really professional style animation on that if you are of a mind to, and you've got the time and the talent to. I'm just getting started in animation, so just learning the concepts is kind of crazy, but I really like it. And I love what they've done with Clip Studio. I mean, with Procreate here, since they've added it to Procreate, you can use it to practice. Just to practice the concepts is just really fun. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. I'll see you next week with episode 10, and we'll pick up where we left off. Until then, keep drawing. Let me know if you like it, and watch me on YouTube and also on Instagram. Go to djmondosrave.com. There's links there to all of my social media sites, and let me know what artwork you've done. I'd be interested to know that. Thanks everybody for watching, and have a good one. Bye.